Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining today's session. This session is part of our Voices of Strength Women in IAM initiative. Uh, this initiative was started with one goal to support, to encourage, and to highlight the amazing women working in the identity and access management domain. Through Voices of Strength, we give women a platform to share their knowledge, their journeys, their challenges, and their success. We want every woman in IAM to feel confident, respected, and seen. Today's session is another step in that direction. We are here to learn, to grow, and to support each other as one single community, one single family. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a weekend, but still you are here to support this initiative. I am really very much thankful for you. Now, I will let Kashish start her session for today. Uh, Kashish, over to you. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you for making time over weekend and joining the session. I really appreciate all your efforts and time for joining this session. I will introduce myself. I'm Kashish and I'm working for IAM as an engineer. I am supporting Okta as an identity management tool, and I'm here to explain you about the or share you the knowledge about the managing human and non-human identities in IAM and why it is really important in IAM and identity governance. So let me quickly share my screen and
But before we start, Kashish, I would like to know how your journey started in cybersecurity or IM domain. If you can shed some light on that.
sure. So I started my career as a system admin, not as an IAM engineer. I started my career in a technical system administrator role where I developed an interest towards the IAM and cybersecurity. Then later, I tried to internally get a role for IAM. By collaborating with the IAM team on sharing, learning from them about how IAM works and what IAM really is, which helped me a lot to develop my interest more in IAM. And later, I got a role in IAM in the Okta field. So this is how I eventually moved up from a system admin role to a IM engineer. If anybody is starting their career with IM or are really interested in going into cybersecurity, this is really a good domain. You have a lot of scope and lot of teams you can work around. You have PAM as in a domain, you have IAM, you have IGA. So we have a lot of scope in cybersecurity. So if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, you will really have to learn what IAM is, what the fundamentals of IAM is, and that will really help you to move into IAM and cybersecurity.
Thanks, Kashish. This is quite inspiring. And this is the fact, many of the cybersecurity professionals who are currently working in this domain or this area, they did not start their career as IAM or cybersecurity professional. They started with something else like system administrators or sometime maybe service desk agents or working on any other domain or a specific area. But later on, they got an opportunity to uh, basically translate their work experiences and transfer their domain or career into IAM specific areas. So it is not, uh, necessary that if you want to succeed in this area, you should start with this career. No matter where you are today, your zeal to learn new things, your eagerness to learn new things will help you gain expertise into this domain as well. And as Kashish, you very well said, this is a field which is very hot in terms of career nowadays, right? Lots of opportunities in different kind of domains like IAM, IGA, PAM, uh, and all other cyber security domains, basically. Yeah. Great, great. That's a great introduction, Kashish. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Uh, Jayesh, can I ask a few questions? I mean, regarding the education background and how she did manage to Kashish.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Hi, Kashish. This is Nikhil. I think I have reached you out in the LinkedIn as well. Hope
Yeah,
if you're free today, I mean, I'll reach you out.
yeah,
Uh,
sure.
I'll set up a call. If you can let me know at what time you are free, available. Based on that, I can. So I
Okay.
just want to know, I mean, what is your education background and what made you interested to learn this and get into this field? And what are the challenges which you have faced initially when you get into this? So it would be great. I mean, if you can highlight, and I just wanted to know because uh, I'm from BCom background, did my executive MBA, and I have 13 years of experience. So I'm from risk and compliance background. I work for a bank.
Okay.
So I wanted to understand. I mean, you can give a short crisp in this forum. Maybe personally we can have the other discussion.
Yes, so my education, I have done a bachelor's of computer applications, with computer applications as specialization. And as you mentioned, why I developed my interest towards IM, because I was work when I was a system admin, I was working closely with different IM and identity teams and Active Directory teams. So I was always you know surprised by seeing how they can fix the access issues. I mean, they have the control over onboarding and offboarding, the access management. So there is a vast domain. It's a very vast domain, and you can definitely improve on the onboarding, offboarding, or any technical stuff. If you want to get into technical stuff, you can learn IAM and PAM. And if you want to get into a less technical but more on the governance side, you have IGA. So this domain is kind of interesting to see. You have both technical and non-technical fields. If you are a technical person, you can choose IAM, PAM, or PKI. And then if you're having a more authority over the governance and administration and identifying the governance, so IGA is one of the fields. So that is how I developed my interest into the cybersecurity.
So, how long did you take to transit into this? So, initially you said that you were into system administration, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Support agent.
So I
Uh,
work
so, I,
first. Yeah, please go ahead.
so I think you might have worked for at least 18 months or 2 years in that particular thing, and then you have switched into this particular role. So, during that, I mean, might be because you are from system admin. So, might be because you are.
So, yeah, let me quickly interfere. Sorry to cut you. So, in interest of other people's time, we
Yeah,
can park these questions end of the session
yeah, sure.
and start with the agenda that Kashish have, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm fine with it,
Yeah,
Jayesh.
Nikhil. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Okay, so we will be discussing on what human and non-human identities are and how we can manage them effectively. So, if you are new to cybersecurity, or if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, I'll just give you a brief about what human and non-human identities are. So human identities are a regular accounts, regular users who are logging into the system, and they have the position of the multi-factor, they have the knowledge of their password. So that those are human identities. We all are human identities. When I say non-human identities, non-human identities are the APIs, the chatbots, the AI bots, the move work bots that most of the organizations use in day-to-day operations to maybe operate their daily tasks, or automate the workflows, or reduce the repetitive task using the automation. So those are the non-human identities. So when we say what are we managing in human and non-human identities, what we say is that how we can secure the human and non-human identities. The legacy identity governance knows how to manage the human identities, but it failed over managing the non-human identities, and we'll discuss about that in the upcoming slide. Moving on to the next slide. As I said, legacy identity governance fails AI. So why it has failed to manage the non-human identities is because it has traditionally worked only with human identities like employees or contractors, partners, and customers. But when the AI agents took all over the world within the IT domain, IT field, like with the machine speed carrying out the task, and they have the access to most of your sensitive systems. So legacy identity governance failed to uh, to monitor the AI identities, non-human identities, which also led to major breaches. So we will today learn how, with the new governance, new identity governance, we can manage our both human and non-human identities, since the AI it was all over the hype last year in most of the organizations. Almost 80 to 90% of the organizations has opted in with the AI chatbots or MoveWorks as a chatbot, and they have integrated their systems, giving the MoveWorks and chatbots most of the access to their sensitive systems. And that is why there is an implementation of identity governance where where the new identity governance has to monitor both the human and non-human identities. So we have a survey by KPMG reported that almost 44% of the US workers work with the AI, and they have been giving the AI the unauthorized access. Could be they could have been giving them more access much as the need, or they are also giving them the sensitive data, which means your data is being shared with the AI. So CISOs are only faced with the options. Can you block your employees from using the chatbots, or you have to accept that your security is at risk? So, in balancing in between these two options, whether your employees should use the AI or they should keep the security at risk, the middle ground is that governance has become an enabler of this innovation. So access control. So in IAM and IGA, we have access control, role-based access control and policy-based access control. So here we will be learning how we can um, give the access to the non-human identities, which are much more faster than human identities. And to prevent unauthorized access, we have implemented least privileged access to the non-human identities, which means that only the permissions that are required to do the job are granted to the non-human identities, mainly the service accounts or the API integrations. Because in case if the API account or a service account is compromised, then those identities will lead to major breach. A Gartner survey reported that by 2028, we will be having at least 25% of the breaches majorly done because of the non-human identities. So by 2028, we will see a risk in breaches mainly because of APIs and service accounts and non-human identities, because the organizations are using them widely, but they do not have a method to have identity governance or monitor those accounts. So Okta this year has released a feature which is ISPM, which stands for Identity Security Posture Management, which will help you to monitor not only the human identities but also the non-human identities. So you will be able to see, I'll just show you the Okta tenant, how it looks like. This is my test tenant. So let me quickly. So Okta as a identity tool, it is a centralized tool where you see most of the integrations within a single tool. So you don't have to use different tools for IGA or PAM. Like for a few instances, I would say for Ping Federate, we use IAM as Ping Federate. Then for PAM, we use CyberArk or SailPoint, sorry, CyberArk or Delinea. And then for IGA, we use SailPoint or Savient. But here, Okta has rolled out a feature where you can implement all these features in a single tool, in a single page. So it acts as a centrified central universal directory where you can manage your non-human identities as well as human identities. So this is a human identity because it is a person. When I say non-human identities, it those are the API integrations that we have, and these needs to be protected using the needs to be protected using the privileged management, the PAM solutions, and this needs to be monitored by the IGA tool, identity governance tool, and also with the ISPM tool that is rolled out by Okta. So ISPM tool, what it really does is it monitors the human and non-human accounts. It also gives us the brief overview of how the accounts are authenticating with which factor, and it also generates the report if there is any threat to the identity. And if you go to health insight in Okta, you will be
Hi
able to see
Kashish,
all the.
we can't see the Okta screen.
Oh, you can't see the Okta screen. Sorry about that. Let me share my full screen. Okay, I think you should be able to see it now.
Yes, now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, sorry about that. So, in the health insight, you will be able to see the threats that are currently in your tool. Like you have critical alerts that needs to be action quickly as soon as possible because it is a threat to your identity tool. Then you have the password risk. Then you have MFA risk. Then you have network zone risk. So these are all the risks that you can see in under the security impact. So Okta as a tool will give us the insight on the health of the tool and also give us the insights on how we can protect our APIs. So our APIs can be protected using the ISPM, which we can integrate using the applications in the Okta admin tool. So you need to have a Okta admin tool and you need to be a super admin of this tool to be able to um, create a ISPM posture for your account, for your organization. So this is how Okta is really helping in a single tool. It is giving all the features like IGA and then PAM and then IAM, so that the admins do not have to use multiple tools, but it's a single solution for all the issues. Next, we will see what is modern identity governance. So when I mentioned that legacy governance is failing, but we have modern identity governance now, which will help us manage the non-human identities as well. Non-human identities are different from human because they are not for a longer period. They are created for a shorter duration. Like APIs are created only for a duration to perform a job, and if that job is done, you just go ahead and delete the API token, or then that or the API token expires. So to catch up the speed of the non-human identities, identity centric layer of defense is critical for every organizations because human identities are much slower when compared to non-human identities. So why AI agents or non-human identities are different is because they lack accountability. Like humans have the accountability for any error, AI non-human identities do not have any accountability. and they have short dynamic lifespans requiring rapid provisioning and deprovisioning. So if I have created an API integration with ServiceNow or with Salesforce for the automation of a task, and once the task is no longer needed, once the we no longer need the automation, we just go ahead and remove the API integration or delete the API integration, and then the token expires. So it is for a dynamic or a short period of time, and it also needs a rapid provisioning and deprovisioning. So if it is no longer in use, we have to delete it as soon as we can, because we cannot give an API and access to a system which is no longer needed. And non-human identities rely on authentications, like non-human authentications, like human authenticate using a multi-factor authentication like a OTP or a push notification or a mail confirmation or a password. But non-human authentication, uh, non-human identities work on non-human authentication, which are majorly like API tokens and certificates, cryptographic certificates. So non-human identities also would need the granular permissions, because they are accessing the deep deep all the organization wide access. So if they are given all the access without being without the least privileged access implemented, they may have threat they may be a threat to the organization. In case the non-human identity is compromised and it has access to all the tools across the organization, that would be leading to a major breach and system downtime, and it could cause also other issues. So to prevent the escalated access, it is very crucial that you need to implement the granular permissions, which can be implemented using the role-based access control, attribute-based access control, and policy-based access control. Non-human identities are also not they are not traceable, because a few non-human identities do not have a owner. So like an API does not have an owner, so they lack traceable. They're not traceable because a owner, if owner is assigned to a non-human identity, they will be able to track it. But if there is a no owner, that would lead to the breach. And then that is why ISPM, Identity Secure Posture Management, is rolled out in Okta, using which you can also see the orphaned identities, which are non-human identities which do not have a owner. And those non-human identities and orphan identities should be traced, tracked regularly. If they have higher permissions, they have to be removed and only given the access as much as they need to do the job. And then once the job is done and you no longer need the workflow, those non-human identities needs to be deleted. I will take a pause here to see if you have now an understanding of how non-human identities and human identities work, and why the modern identity governance is mainly focusing on um, governing the non-human identities. Any experience that you have shared in your organization, that you have seen in your organization where governance has failed or where governance has excelled, you can probably share it here, because it's all about managing the identities. Nikhil, yes, you can.
Sorry, I have raised to highlight that you are unable to share the screen at that point of time. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Okay. Does anyone want to go ahead and share their insights on what you understand by human and non-human identities, or if you have come across any breach?
So basically, I think these are like pseudo automated identities, right? It is not user specific, right?
Yeah, right, that's right.
Okay.
So earlier we used to have only maybe generic accounts or service accounts as the non-standard or
Mhm.
non-human account, you can say. But now with uh, you know evolving situation, we have got chatbots, we have got AI agents. So there is a lot of change in the scope for the identity and access management now. They not only manage the human identities or standard identities, they need to manage much more, whatever the scope is expanding according to that. Yeah, it's really going very good, Kashish. Very insightful session so far. And I believe so. Every one of us, at some point, we are dealing with this kind of identities in our environments, in our organizations, and it will be really useful to apply this knowledge there.
I do have a question. Um, the question is, managing humans are easier, but managing, like you said, um, non-humans not, because with humans, there is a process where when there's a joiner, it's kind of either managed by like HR, and then obviously it's a
Yeah,
life cycle. But with like service accounts and like API, they can be obviously they're going to number
yeah.
humans later is the manager, because I do governance and IAM's done it for so many years already. It's just having to manage that, because with HR there's an end date for each human, but with a non-human can always remain there and don't always get removed. Do you understand? So is having to manage the life cycle of like a non-human. And
Mhm.
some people, they create service accounts by the 5 or 10, it's going to increase. It's having to managing, and whether the person who is the ownership of that non-human, how do they may forget to disable it, how to remove it, and it always remains there. And then having to remove it or delete it is a concern, because we don't know what application it runs, or I hope that doesn't make sense. So that's the challenge that we have, because we were not sure, because if the owner of that non-human account is
Mhm.
no longer in our company, we don't have
Yeah.
expert knowledge of it in order to really remove it, because we get a bit of concern on it. Does that make sense? Or
Yes,
yes.
exactly. Yes, great point. I would like to answer this. Yes, non-human accounts, we cannot just go ahead and delete it if they are no longer required. Like we have to do verifications. If there is an owner assigned to it and is no longer in the company, we have to identify why this non-human account was used, and then implement a password rotation for non-human identities, because if it's a overprivileged account, for example, let's say it has a lot of access but does not have a ownership, and it's an orphaned identity. So we have to first implement the least privileged access, where we will be giving that identity only the limited access to perform the job, and then monitor the account. You will have to monitor the orphan identities very closely because they do not have a owner. So you have to impose the policies, like from where it is signing in, the IP addresses, the authentication mechanism, if there is any MFA it is using, or if it is just an API. And then we have to track an owner. We have to get an owner assigned to that API. That is very important. Only when we do these actions in step by step, then later if the job is no longer required, we will be able to delete the non-human identity. I'll share more insights on this in the next slide. I do have a slide for this one. I hope I was able to answer your question.
I think there's certain service accounts don't have interactive, so it's kind of harder to monitor. But okay, thank you, thanks for that, thank you. But okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. So this is regards to non-human identities. So in our
Yeah.
organization, there are multiple departments. So for example, if you
Yes.
ask me, there is a collection department, there could be a contact center, etc. Okay. So all these identities, non-human identities, are department specific or it's organization specific. And if at all it is a department specific, so are there any owners who will be monitoring this, like from the department end and as well as IAM end?
Yes, it is organization wide because we will be doing the identity governance organization wide, not department specific. And if, yeah, for the monitoring purpose, I would say that the Okta super admins and then the application owner who also handles this API integrations, like, right, the API integrations will be done on the app side as well as the Okta side, correct? So if it is being integrated with an app, so both the sides, like the Okta admin as well as the app admin, has to monitor these non-human identities.
Okay. So you said that it is from organization wide, right? But
Yeah.
for example, if someone who is having a conversation with a chatbot or a voice agent, okay,
Mhm.
so that should ideally route to a specific department, right?
Yeah.
So will there be any sort of what do you say, alignment which is done in the IAM tool?
Yes, you can create the you can identify the non-human identities and put them in a group. If it is a non-IT department, or if it is a IT department, or it is a finance department, you can manage your APIs in such way as well. You have a group I hope my Okta tool is visible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you have a group here. You can create a group, like these are the groups. You can create more groups and put those non-human identities here. Then with the APIs, we have the API integrations where you can put the department wise here, and the tokens are managed.
Okay. So initially, the things will go organization wide, and post then it is again segregated to departmental wise.
Department, yeah, yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. So here is these are the challenges that we often see, and then these are the preventive measures that we can take to avoid the attack. So if in case we have increased attack surface on our non-human identities, we need to apply zero trust to all identities, not only human. I think zero trust is already there for human identities, but we also have to implement zero trust to all non-human identities as well, which means there is a continuous authenticate verification since the time the non-human identity starts authentication until authorization. There is a continuous verification by the tool, either Okta or ISPM, and then they validate the behavior. And if there is any suspicious activity coming from that account, they immediately block the authentication or the access to that non-human identity. Lack of visibility, if they do not have a ownership, they do not have a owner assigned, so there will be a lack in visibility of that account. And for that we have to monitor the behavior of that particular API, and then we have to find the relevant owner who can manage that API going forward. Because once you start monitoring it, it is also very, very important that you assign a owner to that non-human identity, because you cannot leave an identity or it needs to have an owner. And then it has to also be implemented with least privileged account access. Then we have few non-human identities which are overprivileged accounts, which means they have much more access than they would need to do the job or perform the workflow. So for these kind of issues, we have to first apply the zero trust to all human and non-human identities, and later enforce the least privileged access. So that by enforcing the least privileged access, we ensure that we are giving only the only permissions that are required, and we are removing any additional permissions from those APIs or non-human identities. Orphan identities. Orphan identities are nothing but if there is a non-human identity and then there is a no owner or the owner may have left the organization. For such kind of identities, we need to rotate the secrets automatically because those identities are at higher risk because they do not have identity, they do not have a ownership or and they're not visible actually, and then we assign a owner for them and then we later monitor the behavior. Manual management of non-human identities, we do not have to do that. We have to keep them vaulted. We do not need to keep the passwords of these non-human identities hard-coded. It needs to be vaulted, and password rotation should be enabled. Like for service accounts, uh, we apply usually 1 year of the password expiration. For admin accounts, we keep password rotation every 24 hours. For APIs, the mechanism is that if API is not used for 30 days, that gets expired. And if in case a API is used, it automatically gets extended for next 30 days. So this is how the rotation automatically happens in the non-human identities. So these are few critical impacts that were identified across the organization. This is the issue and the main risk category that the issue falls under, and then we have category and segments. So there is a old password and no MFA and unused admin account. So this password is not rotated for a long time and no multi-factor authentication and it has not been used. So this criteria falls under high risk because this could lead to a breach if it is compromised. And it is an admin and toxic combination because MFA is also not implemented for this account. Hence, it will be a critical impact. Then we have the similar case where we have admin service accounts. Again, it is a non-human identity, and then we do not have a password rotated and no MFA is implemented, which will risk the organization in case it is compromised. Global admin account, no MFA. So if I am the admin of the Okta tenant, and if there is no MFA for me, that means anybody can log in if my password is compromised and can make the organization-wide changes, which is again a critical impact. And in case it is compromised, that would be leading to a major breach across the organization. Leaked stale passwords account without MFA. So most of these accounts are not having MFA, which shows that how important multi-factor authentication is for admin accounts or service accounts, and then for even the global admin account. These are a few critical impacts. We will see the high impacts. Okay, so these are the admin accounts and service accounts which do not have their password rotated. So this falls under password hygiene because these accounts may lead to a breach again if there is a compromised password here. Then we have unused global admin accounts and service accounts. So for these accounts, we need to implement the least privilege because if these accounts are not in use, we need to remove any additional permission that they would not need, and then we assign them an owner. Then we have partially offboarded user, which means the user has not been offboarded completely. He still has access to the system. Then we implement the least privilege by ensuring that we remove all the additional access to the user, and then we offboard the. Then the MFA comes into the picture where there are no multi-factor authentication enforced for global admin accounts, and it also shows how MFA should be implemented across the systems, even for the global admin account. We have medium impact, which is for least privilege access, like AWS cross account has more access as much compared to what they need, and Salesforce user account linked to multiple AI agents. So if a Salesforce is no longer needing multiple AI agents, least privilege needs to be prevalent implemented, and then this falls under non-human identities because these are using the AI agents and chatbots. Then no MFA, pending MFA, and SSO bypass. SSO bypass is nothing but we are allowing a user to access a particular application without needing to authenticate, which is again not a good practice. And therefore, every application in the organization needs to have a SSO, either a password plus authenticator or password plus YubiKey as a multi-factor implemented. Old password accounts are again not a good practice, because if the password is no long not rotated for a long time, that is that comes under the password hygiene, because usually admin accounts have to rotate their password every 24 hours and service accounts every year. These are few low impact issues where we see unused accounts. And then for unused keys and tokens or console access accounts, we need to implement the least privilege, because these accounts have not been used for a longer time. Once we implement the least privilege, we have to monitor their behavior on what they are trying to access and what is the current access they are getting. So these are few impacts that we see from critical to high and then medium and low. And this shows why MFA, password hygiene, and least privilege access is very, very important in identity governance and identity access management. And also, we see how non-human identities are also at risk with each of this risk category. We also have MFA, phishing resistant MFA, which is FIDO. FIDO stands for fastest identity online, and YubiKey is a fastest identity online authenticator available. So most of the organizations are moving towards phishing resistant authenticator, which is YubiKey. So the MFA method would be a password and then a YubiKey, or a password plus authentication authenticator. So the sequence stands like a password, which is very less secure, and then password plus an authentication, medium, and then password plus an password plus an YubiKey, which is a high security. So these are the key takeaways from today's session. What we have discussed, like treat machine and workload identities with the same discipline as human users. So how we, in the legacy identity governance, how we treat the human users, we have to treat the non-human identities as well. And if it is hard coded, if the passwords are hard coded, then it's a technical lab. That means password needs to be vaulted for all these accounts. And these have to be you can also collaborate internally with your developers, with your IM engineers, with your governance team to implement a good security policy across your organization, standard your access control patterns, and then test them. So this is all about human and non-human identities, how we can protect the human and non-human identities, or how is Gen AI developing, evolving, overall in different organizations, and how we can make use of identity security posture management or PAM solutions to protect these non-human identities. We can discuss, if anybody wants to share their insights now, please go ahead and we can discuss on this. Kelly, I believe you were able to get about the non-human identities, how we can track them in case the owner left the organization.
Oh yeah, I don't actually use Okta, but I use Cellpoint. But yeah, it does it. Is there something in Okta that does that, or to monitor, or?
Yes, actually, there is a portal, Kelly. I forgot to mention that. There is a ISPM portal. I currently do not have it integrated, but if you Google the ISPM portal in Okta, you will be able to see a portal. I will quickly show you how it looks like. Okay, let me show the screen again. I currently do not have this integrated yet, but I will try to integrate and share it in another session. But um, this is how the ISPM portal looks like. You can see the identities here. You can see the password hygiene. You can see the least privilege implemented. And then you can also see unused admin accounts, how many unused admin accounts we have. And then under MFA, you can see how many admin accounts do not have a MFA implemented and then have old password and no MFA, then they also have leaked. So this is a integration which we can do with the Okta admin tool. And once you integrate this, all your non-human identities will be reflecting here. Um, then from here you can probably monitor and set the alerts for this tool, and this dashboard has the feasibility to change the duration as well for last 30 days, for last 60 days, and then for last 7 days. And then you will be able to see how many users you have, how many accounts you have, how many groups, and then how many applications. So this is the ISPM posture tool, which will be used to monitor the accounts, both the human and non-human identities.
So this is identity security posture management, right?
Yes, yes, that's right.
So here it
This
only
comes, yeah, please go
okay.
ahead.
So here it only shows in this particular screen about non-human identities, right? Or it is a combination of both human identities and as well as non-human identities.
You can configure both, but here you will mostly see non-human identities. But because for the human identities, we can also monitor it in the admin tool. But here you can configure both the human and non-human identities.
Okay. And is this official tenant or is it dummy tenant?
No,
Okta.
this is official tenant. This has been already integrated. For some
Oh,
reason, I was not able to integrate it with my tenant, but I will definitely
okay.
try see how I can. Yeah, this is the
So it's
official
a
tenant.
screenshot. It's a screenshot, right?
Yeah, it's a screenshot. I'll if you
Yeah, yeah, I
let me
got it.
show my, yeah. It's a screenshot. Actually, I did not integrate it yet.
Yeah, because Okta has some limitations, right, for free tenants, like 30 days, and
Mm-hmm.
there are
Yeah,
not
yeah,
completely, I mean, we don't have access to secure all the pages.
exactly. I think this would need a license. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'll try to raise a ticket with the Okta support and see. But how you can integrate it is with application. This is what I know how you can probably integrate it. Um, if you go to applications, you can search for ISPM SSO
Okay.
and you will see ISPM SSO. From
Mhm.
here, you can integrate your identity secure posture management. And there is an overview. You can take control of your organization by covering hidden risk with your identity providers. So yeah,
Okay, got it.
this is all about human and non-human identities. I hope I was able to share the knowledge with you all about how human and non-human identities work.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yes, you have shared everything. So, just wanted to
Thank you.
ask, will you share the slide with us or in the forum?
Um, Slide, uh, Jayesh, can you suggest on this?
If it does not contain any your organization specific information, we can share.
Okay, okay, I will go ahead and share.
Yeah,
Um,
we will need to just remove any specific information if it is there, which is personally identifiable information, PII.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Nikhil, I will check and I'll let you know on
Yeah,
this.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I would say, rather than getting this PPT, if you create your own PPT based on the understandings that you, well, based on the learnings that you have got today from Kashish, that will help you better in your, future
Yes.
learning.
Okay, so with that note, I would like to thank everyone for joining in today's session. It was truly a wonderful session and wonderful experience to learn together. A big thank you to our speaker, Kashish, for sharing her knowledge, her experience, and her time with all of us. This is what Voices of a Strength Women in IM is all about: learning, supporting, and lifting each other. I hope today's session added value to your IM journey, and I hope it is an inspiration and it has inspired you to keep growing and keep believing in yourself. We will continue to bringing in more women leaders, more learning, and more meaningful conversations through this initiative. Thank you once again for being here. Your support means a lot. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.